As you level up in life, there's going to be different levels of exposure, which are going to lead to different levels of expansion. And as you level up, the goal, the idea is that you never want to lose your identity. You never want to lose yourself in the name of success, in the name of just getting in different spaces. This week's episode, I want to talk about how you can continue to remain who you are as you continue to ascend in your journey towards success. All right, so essentially my objective with this episode is to teach you how you can still stand out without stepping outside of who you are as a person. Like, that's the number one objective, right? I want to go through some things that I'm constantly reminding myself and try not to get like blindsided by the other ways in which people try to market to people to get them to tap into what they got going on, right? You can still be who you are and still win in life. It's the reason why we acquired the intellectual property of one of our newest product lines, Be You, They'll Adjust, right? You can be exactly who you are and people will adjust. You don't have to change your identity or change what you stand on just to make money, just to build wealth, right? So one of the easiest ways to be able to stay who you are and not change who you are in order to try to win in this world, especially when it comes to like being a coach or educator or consultant, is to lead with deep value, right? Lead with deep value. What I mean by that is, like, people can't argue with things that are valuable. So you might not be able to stand in front of the Lamborghini or the private jet or the fancy expensive things and buying designer, maybe because it's simply not you, or maybe because it's just not in alignment with your brand, whatever the case may be, right? So the question becomes, well, those types of things attract people. The first thing you got to remember is that's going to attract a certain type of person. It doesn't necessarily attract everybody. It attracts a certain type of person. And that certain type of person, in some cases, has a certain type of mentality. So even though it works, it might not even necessarily be the person that you're trying to attract. Now, the thing is, there's nothing wrong with lifestyle marketing. It's just the reality of human nature. People associate success with tangible goods. If they could afford to buy that, they must be successful. If they could afford to buy the house, if they could afford to buy the really nice car, if they can afford to buy the really nice clothes, if they can afford to take the really nice trips, they absolutely have to have money. Now, if you've been in this game long enough, you know that people can flex and front their way through a lot of different things. But from a marketing psychology standpoint, it's no secret that stuff works when it comes to getting people to buy something. No different than you look at the music industry and people are making certain types of music because that's what historically is sold. People like the rap music with the guns and the murder and the drugs, the same way people like those movies. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's their real life or that they relate to it, but it's entertaining to them. And so that is the music that sells instead of the neo soul or the really, really quality music. And it is unfortunate. But when it comes to business, I'm telling you, you can be who you are. Now, you have to be strategic because, again, it's no secret that stuff is going to stand out. And if you are a person that decides to incorporate lifestyle marketing, even if it is a part of your lifestyle in your content, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm speaking to the person who says, well, I see that, but that's not necessarily how I approach things. And how can I still win and be competitive in the marketplace without having to do that, right? And one of the ways you do that is deep value. If you can help somebody, right, for free, then of course they're going to believe that you can help them when they pay you. So if you're really good at what you do, you shouldn't have any issue providing free value to the world and using that as the way to get people into your ecosystem. Man, I listened to so-and-so's content. It was so valuable. I took action and it worked and it was free, right? That is a great way to ensure that you can build your audience because you're helping people before they pay you, right? The best way to show somebody that you can help them is to actually help them. So if you're trying to figure out a way to ensure that you can compete in the marketplace with a marketing style that aligns with who you are, try leading with deep value. That is an easy way to stand out because in a world full of junk food content, be soul food. Another way to really attract people without having to flex on the internet is by showing receipts, right? Receipts of the fruit of your labor, or more realistically, receipts from the fruit of the work that you say that you do and how it helps people. right? So be really big on sharing the results that other people have gotten from working with you, right? Show the receipts of the results that other people have gotten from working with you. Because what you say is propaganda, what other people say who've gotten results from your program is the gospel, right? So if you sell anything online, whether it's a service, whether it's a product, really lean heavy into customer testimonials. If you're having a hard time doing that, then that might mean that one of your focuses should be doubling down on creating a better product or service, right? But assuming that that's the prerequisite, assuming that that's table stakes, leaning into customer testimonials can be amazing. Now, if you're going to share your own receipts, because people are, okay, well, sure, you got so-and-so results. How do I know that you're actually doing it? Which is a legitimate question, right? Now, in theory, how could you help someone else get results if you're not doing it yourself? But you'd be surprised because people will package up information that's correct, then sell that information, and people will get results from executing on the information, but that leader hasn't necessarily done it themselves. It happens. So if we know that's not you, one of the things you can do is share receipts from your actual results. If you notice, I'm not now when I say share receipts, I don't mean logging into your online banking and showing how much money you make. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying share Stripe screenshots from how much money you make. What I'm saying is, for example, if you teach something, there's some result that you should have gotten. Now, I guess if you're a business coach and you show people how to make more money, then maybe technically you might want to show revenue screenshots, whatever the case may be. Show that P&L if you're really spicy. But if you teach people how to do something, you should have results or receipts from that thing that you did, right? So you shouldn't be teaching people how to invest money in the stock market if you can't show receipts of your success doing so. I have several receipts of my success investing in the stock market, some of which are publicly verified on platforms where you have to plug into your portfolio and show like your lifetime holdings to show like your actual results. So I can talk about investing on the internet. I can have a program that incorporates investing because I've done it and I can show my receipts. Now, why do I think that's different than just showing people how much money you made? Because that doesn't solve or answer the question, did you make the money from other people, right? Just selling the course or the product, or did you make the money, at least at one point in time, from doing the thing that you said you know how to do? Now, let me just dispel a quick myth here, right? A lot of times people will say that, like, if someone has a course or program, that they probably aren't good at what they do, because if they're so good at what they did, why would they teach it? And that's a very, very silly logic. Unfortunately, it's not totally invalid, because you have people on the internet, a lot of people, especially in the pandemic, who all they've ever done is teach people how to do something. And in many cases, things they haven't even done. They don't have the actual results. They don't have the actual receipts. And as a result, people are skeptical. But you weren't skeptical of your college professor who was a business teacher and never started a business. You weren't skeptical of your marketing professor who never did marketing for a business. So there's nothing wrong with teaching information, especially if someone has the receipts of doing it, right? But we have to stop acting like just because someone teaches something and they have a program that they're not qualified or that's the only thing they've done. We are still in business, and it is very, very scalable, right? To be able to package up your intellectual property and teach a lot of people how to do what you did. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Especially if you've actually done it in real life. It is just a way to diversify your revenue streams, right? And for those people who say, well, if you're so good, if you're so for the people, why not give it away for free? Well, if you're like me, you have given it away for free, right? It takes effort to create this free show that airs every week. It takes effort to create a free podcast that airs every Wednesday. And we've been doing the Melanin Money Show for 2 years. I've been podcasting since 2017. I've released a podcast every week, at least since 2019. And as of this recording, it's 2023, right? At least since 2019. I've been podcasting since 2017, but I've released consistently on a weekly cadence since September, I believe it was, of 2019. Free value, right? The Uncensored podcast is still available. Go check it out. Don actually show them that graphic, because I love that. That was one of my favorite graphics that we created, right? The Uncensored Show, the Melanin Money Show, which airs every week, and then Financial Freedom Fastlane, which airs every week. So all in all, we're talking probably close to north of 1,000 pieces of free content, long form, not to mention 3 to 5 pieces of micro content per episode. So that's free. What we have to also do is lose the sense of entitlement and thinking that people should give everything away for free when it takes them time, money, and effort. I'm very transparent with y'all about this show in particular, where I'm like, hey, like, I'm recording this the day before. My son, like, as of this recording, is asleep right now, taking a nap on a Sunday. And I'm hoping that I can get through this episode before he wakes up. So, like, people are taking their time to put this information together. So we most certainly can't have the entitlement or expectation that everything someone does is supposed to be free. Instead, what you should be thinking about, and this is the whole tangent, I probably should do another episode on this, but it's okay, we gonna cook. Instead, what we should be thinking is like, okay, well, this is actually a hack for me, because all of the time, effort, and energy that George or any other coach has had to put into refining their craft, put into learning all this stuff, I'm going to get it for pennies on the dollar, because I don't have to wait 10 years like he did to get all this information. I get the most distilled and refined version right now. That is the cheat code, right? The cheat mentors, coaches, consultants, that is the absolute cheat code, because it's opportunity cost 101. If it took me 10 years to learn something, and then you go try to do the same thing on your own, probably on a part-time basis, because I do this for a living, then the little bit of time that you're going to be able to dedicate to it, it's going to take you years, hopefully not 10, but it's going to take you some time to understand this stuff. The question becomes, how much money is it costing me to not know this information over the period of time it's going to take me to learn it? Opportunity cost number one. And then opportunity cost number two, how much does it actually cost me in making mistakes, right, by not knowing the information? So we have to zoom out and stop trying to like count the pockets of the coaches, the consultants, and the creators, because the truth of the matter is, it's not about how much money they might be making from the hundreds or thousands of people that they're serving. It's how much money am I making from what I paid. The quickest way to trick yourself out of your spot is trying to count somebody else's pockets instead of counting your own. So if you paid $1,000 or $2,000 or $10,000 or $30,000, and the net ROI that you can get from that information, let's just say at minimum is $100,000, that is what you should be focused on. Not like, well, man, dang, he's teaching all these people and she's getting this person paying this. I understand the skepticism, because there are some people on the internet who aren't who they say they are. But assuming you do your due diligence and you do your research, and to see that I'm a Forbes contributor, that I've been featured in Forbes of having a top 10 podcast, right, by financial advisors. You can see that I'm the top 100 advisor in the nation for the past 2 years in a row out of 300,000 advisors. You can see that I'm one of the top 10 young advisors to watch in 2023. Then you can do your due diligence and understand that I might be somebody that's worthy of listening to. That's not me bragging or flexing. That's like, hey, I know that there's a lot of people on the internet who aren't who they post to be. So let me make it easier for you and let you know who I am and what I'm about. And I know that was a tangent, but I wanted to make sure that we at least got clear on that, because I want you guys to go into the right mentality, the right frame as a consumer, right? When it comes to people who are teaching you something. And as the creator, right, having the confidence to lean in on your greatness and not feel like you have to rely on lifestyle marketing, right, or showing trophies, because you are actually who you say you are. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, and for the last one is one that I'm really big on, but full context, no half truths, right? Now, of course, it's impossible to give full context in a 60 to 90 second Instagram video, right? Or even a long form video like this. It's a little bit easier to give context in a video like this, but it's impossible to give the full context like in these sound bites. But before you sell somebody something, if you're willing to give them the full context before they can make that transaction, then you will have a higher likelihood of people who are bought in and people who are the right fit, because they actually know what it's going to take. My job, as I mentioned, outside of helping people build wealth, is shattering limiting beliefs and removing the oversimplification of success. And the bridge that connects limiting beliefs and oversimplification is context, right? Can someone make $100,000 in a month? Yes. Do they probably have a team and a system and a strategy and a whole bunch of other things in order to do that? Also, yes. But we can't sit up here and think that someone's a scammer just because they've made a lot of money in a little bit of time, right? Getting rich quick is not a scheme. You just shouldn't have the expectation of getting rich quick. And the reality is, when someone got rich quick, in most cases, there are anomalies or outliers, when someone got rich quick, it's because they laid the foundation and a framework for an extended period of time where they didn't get a lot of money, where they weren't getting a lot of traction, and then they were in position and they were prepared to take ownership over the time, effort, and energy that they put in to get to the point where it can happen in a short period of time, right? Oftentimes people aren't getting rich quick. They're just prepared for their moment when it's happening. There's a big difference. Like, it's easier to make a lot of money in a little bit of time than it is to make a little bit of money over an extended period of time. And what my takeaway from that logic is that when you become really great at what you do, there's gonna become an inflection point where now you are such an authority in the marketplace, you're such an expert that you can command a higher price point, and it's actually easier to make that money in a little bit of time because of how valuable you are to the marketplace. Versus when you're just an average Joe and you're not as great at what you do, it's hard, right? Because you're not even the best. You're not even the best at what you do. So you're trying to make a little bit of money, right, over a 12-month, 12-year period, whatever it might be. Versus like, oh, I am who I am. They're gonna pay me $20,000 to come in and do this speech, right? That's a lot easier, but it's easier because of the framework and the foundation that you laid to be the person that can charge the $20,000 for the 1 hour speaking session. Does that make sense? Because I know you hear like these punchlines or these bars, and someone says it's easy to make a lot of money in a little bit of time than it is to make a little bit of money over a long period of time. But what does that actually mean? What that actually means is that you spent some time getting good, so now it's easier to make a lot of money in a little bit of time because of the value that you have now brought to the marketplace and what you command. Okay? So, as a quick recap, how can you stand out in the marketplace without stepping outside of who you are? Right? Number one, offer deep value, right? The person who gives away the most free quality information wins. Help somebody, actually help somebody, right? And that's going to prove to them that you could help them behind the paywall. Okay? Number two, show student receipts. Okay, show student receipts or client receipts for people who you've helped, who have gotten results doing the thing that you do, right? Or doing the thing that you say that you teach. Step three, show your own receipts to dispel the myth that all you did was package up information, right? So if you're an investor or a trader, show those trading profits. If you teach people how to do real estate, go touch that building, right? Whatever it is that you say you do, have proof that you have done it too. Okay. Now here's the beautiful part about this. The beautiful part about this is that you literally can show people how to make money or how you did what you did successfully, right? And they're okay with seeing your wins, and it doesn't feel like bragging because they quite literally want to learn how to do the exact same thing, right? They quite literally want to learn how to do the exact same thing. Okay. And last but not least, full context. No half truths. Another quick tidbit. It is easier to lead a person away from pain than it is to lead them towards pleasure. If you don't know who I am from a can of paint and I say, hey, look, I can help you make $100,000 in 100 days. You might be like, cool story, bro. But if I were to say the 10 things that are preventing you from having your first six-figure year or six-figure month, different paradigm, right? I'm going to point out pain points, right? Not sell you on pleasure. Not like, oh, I can guarantee. I'm not making no guarantee. I'm showing you what you're probably already doing that's preventing you. Make sense? Slight tweak, but a huge paradigm shift, right? So no half truths, only full context. If you can do those things, then you don't have to jump out of the Lambo. You don't have to hop off the PJ. You don't got to get out of the helicopter if you don't want to. If you do, fine. I'm a big fan of showing my lifestyle casually that's not tied to me making money. Like, I want to show some of the things that I'm doing because it's my actual real life, and I don't feel like I should have to hide every aspect of it, right? But what I don't necessarily want to do is hop out the Lambo for the ad. right? Like, I don't want to do that. If I want to share my lifestyle, like, you might see some stuff, me hopping out the Rolls Royce and doing it, like, cool. Like, but there's no call to action there. I'm not saying buy my stuff. I'm just, hey, this is the car that I'm driving. Or, hey, this is the trip that I'm on. Not click the link while I'm sipping my Mai Tai in paradise, right? And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying I know that there's people out there who are struggling to figure out how they're going to stand out in the marketplace because they're like, how can I compete with that? You can compete by being you and being great. That's all you need to do. I hope this episode of Financial Freedom Fastlane was helpful. If you found it helpful, share it with somebody. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got something special coming for our our viewers coming very, very soon related to the Financial Freedom Fastlane show. So be on the lookout for that. But until next time, peace.